Rare photos of the Wild West banned in history books. In Arizona and other states, prostitution was legalized in the 19th century and generated income through licensed brothels, taxes, and fines, funding local development and public projects. However, despite its legal status, sex workers faced discrimination and marginalization. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you for being part of this journey with Who Remember. If our videos have ever made you smile, brought back a memory, or reminded you of a simpler time, then I'd be so grateful if you'd follow us to our new channel, Back to Yesterday. Just hit the link below, subscribe, and let's keep the memories alive, together. Seth Kinman was a master hunter of the Wild West, famous for his skills. He had the chance to meet President Andrew Johnson and wanted to give him something one of a kind. So, he crafted an incredible chair using elk horns and bear skin, giving it a bold, rustic style. Chief Iron Bear at Fort Berthold, North Dakota, 1866. Annie Oakley, a legendary sharpshooter and one of America's first female celebrities, used her skills to empower women. Beyond seeking fame, she dedicated herself to teaching women how to shoot, promoting self-defense, independence, and confidence. In 1907, life in the American Wild West was a world away from today. A remarkable cow became the town's heroine, tasked daily with carrying 7 children to school. Can you imagine making your way to class on the back of a cow? Ponca Indian Scouts skinning a buffalo, 101 Ranch, Bliss, Oklahoma, 1890. Hunting was a popular activity in the Wild West, especially for those who braved the Four Peaks region in Arizona. Known for its rich wildlife, deer, rabbits, bears, and even cougars, this area demanded courage and skill from the hunters who navigated its many dangers. In 1906, Cow Claw, a Tlingit woman from Alaska, wore her potlatch dance attire for a traditional ceremony full of symbolism. During the potlatch, she and other members of the Tlingit community came together to dance, sing, and share their rich stories and customs. Pioneer's Cabin, Calaveras Big Trees State Park, California, 1886. Mountain men were hunters and explorers who thrived in the rugged, mountainous regions of the American West. Known for their remarkable survival skills in harsh, untamed landscapes, they embodied resilience. This photo of a mountain man offers a glimpse into the tough, challenging life of the Wild West era. Shoshone Indians, taken between 1880 and 1910. Indian Boy and His Dog, Utah, taken in 1874. Holiday's Overland Stage Office, Denver, Colorado, taken between 1865 and 1870. Quanah Parker, the last chief of the Comanches, was a key figure in the American Wild West. Throughout the 19th century, the Comanches battled the U.S. Army, which aimed to expand its territory and control native lands. As their leader, Quanah Parker fought fiercely to protect his people and preserve their traditions. The Hatfield family, a symbol of the American Wild West, left their mark in history with a photograph taken in 1888. The image captures their pride and unity, offering a glimpse into the past and the legacy of the Wild West. Changing Horses on a Roundup, South Dakota, taken in 1890. This rare photo of Billy the Kid is one of only 2 confirmed images of the infamous outlaw, taken in 1877 It captures Billy playing cards with his companions in New Mexico. Though the photo has worn with time, it remains an iconic piece of Wild West history. Cowboys roping a buffalo on the plains, taken between 1887 and 1892. The Rufus Buck Gang, made up of young African Americans and indigenous people, rebelled against the established order with a series of robberies, thefts, and kidnappings. They terrorized communities in the Wild West, becoming targets of both local and federal authorities. After several confrontations, the gang was captured and sentenced to hang. Klondike miners at Skagway, Alaska, 1897. Geronimo, one of the most famous indigenous leaders in U.S. history, led his tribe in numerous battles against American forces to defend his people and their lands. For years, he carried out attacks on American settlements and military troops, becoming one of the U.S. Army's greatest adversaries. Loading cattle at McCoy's Stockyard, Abilene, Kansas, taken in 1867. Joe Black Fox, a Sioux Indian, was a key performer in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, taking part in battle reenactments and tribal dances to showcase his people's traditions. His role in the show also gave him the opportunity to travel globally and experience other cultures. Old Mission Church, Zuni Pueblo, New Mexico, taken in 1873. Judge Roy Bean, known as the Law West of the Pecos, was an eccentric and hot-tempered figure. He often presided over cases while intoxicated and claimed he was appointed by the president, though historians question this story. Washing and Panning Gold, Rockerville, Dakota, taken in 1889. James Butler Hickok, famously known as Wild Bill, was one of the American Wild West's most legendary gunmen. Renowned for his sharpshooting with his signature pair of pistols, he held various roles, from buffalo hunter and stagecoach guide to lawman. However, it was his reputation as a gunslinger that made him truly famous. Native Americans standing in front of teepees in Aberdeen, South Dakota, taken in 1880. A rare and unique moment from the American Civil War, this 1863 photo shows an American soldier clowning around for the camera. It captures a glimpse of the humanity and humor that still existed amidst the war's chaos. Pioneer life in 1882, family outside of a sod house, taken in 1882. This 1872 photo of a group of Paiute Indians in Utah captures a moment from the lives of a nomadic people who thrived in the Great Basin region. Dependent on hunting, fishing, and gathering, the Paiute faced tremendous challenges from settlers encroaching on their lands, leading to a history marked by conflict and displacement. The Deadwood Coach, taken in 1889. Indian family in front of Adobe Building, California, 1880. Buffalo Bill's Wild West show featured real-life cowboys who were skilled hunters, lawmen, and even former outlaws. These professionals were known for their impressive shooting skills, which became the main attraction of the show. Camp Life, Arizona, taken in 1871. Bass Reeves, a legendary figure of the American Wild West, was the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi. Appointed in 1875 by Judge Isaac Parker, known as the Hangman of the West, Reeves excelled in his duties, making over 3,000 arrests throughout his career. While he had to defend himself against 14 outlaws, he preferred to capture criminals alive to face justice. The white dance was a unique social tradition where women took the lead, inviting men to dance. Some women would kneel, politely requesting a dance, a gesture that expressed respect and admiration. Rose Dunn, born in 1878 in Oklahoma, was a nurse who became involved in crime after falling in love with outlaw George. In 1895, she was arrested with her family following a shootout with sheriffs. Camp wagon on a Texas roundup, 1900. This 1907 photo from Tascosa, Texas, shows cowboys relaxing at a local bar, offering a snapshot of daily life in the Wild West. The varying expressions of the men, some smiling, others serious, add depth to the moment. California Coers stages, leaving Virginia City, 1866. Cradling, placer mining, taken in 1871. George Carnac, miner, standing outside of a log cabin in Yukon Territory, 1897. City of Deadwood, from the south, taken in 1876. Rodeos were a popular event, celebrating Wild West culture with thrilling performances. At one California rodeo, the crowd watched in awe as a woman and her horse jumped over a convertible, showcasing the courage and skill that defined the Wild West spirit. In the Wild West, families sought new opportunities. These sisters built a sod house in Custer County, Nebraska, using packed earth blocks covered with grass for insulation. Ralph Tex Madsen, an American cowboy, became famous for his impressive height of over 2 meters. Known as the tallest cowboy, he captured attention wherever he went, earning invitations to parades and special events, always standing out in his signature cowboy hat. Pearl Hart pulled off a bold stagecoach robbery in Arizona, dressed in men's clothing and showing great courage. Her daring act shocked everyone, making her a famous outlaw who quickly caught the attention of both the authorities and the media. Iron White Man, a Sioux Indian, joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show in 1883. Known for his horse riding and bow and arrow skills, he became a standout performer, captivating audiences with his talent. Burlington Engine No. 7, Nebraska, taken in 1886. The Interview, South Dakota, taken between 1887 and 1892. Horseback's Camp, Comanches, Fort Sill, Indian Territory, 1873. Three women and a man, all in uniform and on horseback. Fort Verde, Arizona. Taken between 1884 and 1887. Cowboys sitting by supply wagons. Taken between 1880 and 1910. In the late 19th century, Guthrie, Oklahoma, was a land of opportunity for those brave enough to tackle the Wild West. Drawn by the promise of a fresh start, settlers flocked to the town hoping to build a home and future. Among them, a newcomer arrives, eager to find his own piece of land to begin a new life. Butch Cassidy, born Robert Leroy Parker in Utah in 1866, became one of America's most infamous outlaws. He led the Hole in the Wall gang, known for train and bank robberies. Cassidy's fame grew not just from his crimes, but from his remarkable ability to evade the law using disguises and clever escape plans. Sunflower, Portrait of a Sioux Man, 1899. Navajo Indians near Old Fort Defiance, New Mexico, taken in 1873. A group of fearless Navajo riders sets out on an epic journey, riding through the harsh, dry desert of Canyon de Chelly. Known for their exceptional skill and courage, these riders navigate the tough terrain with remarkable precision. Miner's Cabin in the Sierra Nevada Mountains, 1866. James Miller, known as Killer Miller, gained a reputation in the Wild West for his cold precision in shootouts. A hired gunman, he was also involved in bank and train robberies. His violent life ended in 1909, when he was captured and executed for his crimes. Johnson's peaceful life was shattered when his wife was killed by a Crow warrior. Filled with grief and anger, he swore revenge and set out to punish every Crow he encountered. His brutal acts earned him the nickname Liver Eater across the Wild West. The Homestead Act of 1862 gave Americans the chance to claim 160 acres of public land if they built a home and farmed it for 5 years. Many families moved to Nebraska, hoping for a better life, but they faced harsh weather, limited resources, and isolation as they worked to establish their farms. The result of a leak. 2 men repairing a boat in the Yukon Territory, 1897. A captivating 1871 photo by William Henry Jackson in Nebraska shows the indigenous leader, Pataliro. During this period, indigenous tribes faced significant challenges, including the loss of land and the threat of forced assimilation. Cowboys from the XIT Ranch in the Texas Panhandle, 1902. Billy the Kid escaped from prison twice, first by killing 2 guards, then by digging through a cell wall with a spoon. Though an outlaw, he was known for his charm and had many friends, including Sheriff Pat Garrett, with whom he later became enemies. Seen on the summit of the Sierra Nevada Mountains, 1866. J.M. Webster and family, Wyandotte, Kansas, taken in 1867. In 1894, a law office in Round Pond, Oklahoma, assisted pioneers with land claims, helping them secure their rights and formalize property transactions. Colorado, Miner's Cabin in Winter, between 1898 and 1905. Wyatt Earp, a legendary figure of the American Wild West, moved west at 21 seeking adventure. Over the years, he worked as a miner, businessman, and lawman. His most famous moment came during the 1881 gunfight at the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona, where he became a symbol of frontier justice. Geyser Springs, Sonoma County, California, 1880. railroad bridge across the Kansas River, taken in 1867. This photo captures a significant moment in stagecoach history, showcasing the Deadwood Stagecoach. Renowned for its security, it carried valuable cargo like mail and gold, making it a prime target for criminals. To protect it, the stagecoach was armed with a skilled team of men, ready to defend it and its passengers against any threat. The Old Cabin Home, South Dakota, taken between 1887 and 1892. This 1903 photo of Calamity Jane at Wild Bill's grave in South Dakota captures a poignant moment years after his death. The two had met in 1876, and while some historians question the romanticized stories of their relationship, their connection remains a significant part of Wild West lore. Packing water on mules. Fort Verde, Arizona, taken in 1887. General George Crook, a prominent 19th century military leader, joined the U.S. Army in 1852 and served in the American Civil War. Afterward, he led military campaigns against Native American tribes in the West, becoming one of the era's key commanders. The last large bull train on its way from the railroad to the Black Hills, taken in 1890. Bill Doolin, a notorious outlaw, started with the Dalton Gang before forming his own Wild Bunch. His gang carried out numerous robberies across the American West. On August 24, 1896, Doolin was surrounded by U.S. Deputy Marshal Heck Thomas and his team in Oklahoma. Attempting to flee, Doolin was shot and killed before he could escape. Colonel Dupersaul's Ranch in New Mexico, 1885. This 1864 photo of a slave auction house in Atlanta, guarded by a Union soldier, starkly contrasts the Civil War's fight to end slavery with its ongoing practice in Confederate states. It serves as a haunting reminder of the brutality of slavery in the U.S. during that time. Life in the Wild West was tough, especially for farmers dealing with harsh weather and barren lands. In 1894, a devastating sandstorm hit Midland, Texas, damaging farmlands and disrupting farmers' lives. A photo of the storm captures the power of nature. Train at the Short Line Depot, Boise, Idaho, taken between 1880 and 1900. John Delane Wagon Shop, Broken Bow, Custer County, Nebraska, taken in 1889. Hotel Tent, Grand Canyon Stage Road, Arizona, taken between 1890 and 1899. "40 Indian Canoes at Dyea, 1897. Dick Latham returning home with antelope, Wyoming, taken in 1888. Mule-drawn water wagon at Fort Verde, Arizona, 1887. Roundup scenes on Belle Fourche in 1887. Hydraulic mining at Rockerville, South Dakota, taken in 1889. Hunting camp at Peck's Lake, 21 miles north of Fort Verde, Arizona, taken in 1887. The Annie, first boat launched on Yellowstone Lake, taken in 1871. Chinese immigrants sluicing, 1871. The principal street in Prescott, Arizona, 1877. Drover's Cottage at McCoy's Stockyard, Abilene, Kansas, taken in 1867. A prairie schooner from the 1850s, 1894. Officers' Quarters, Camp Apache, Arizona Territory, taken in 1871. A deer hunt near Deadwood in winter of 87 and 88. Two miners, McMillan and Hubbard, got their game. Chinese miners in Tuolumne County, California, 1866. Western Ranch House in the Dakotas, 1888. Ox teams at Sturgis, Dakota Territory, taken between 1887 and 1892. Camp of the 7th Cavalry, Pine Ridge Agency, SD, Jan. 19, 1891. Teepees on the Columbia, 1922. Land Rush, Oklahoma, 1889. Sioux City Party Coaching at the Great Hot Springs of Dakota, taken in 1889. Gold miners and their friends in Colorado, 1898. Freighting in the Black Hills, taken between 1887 and 1892. Buffalo at Water, 1904. Deadwood Central Railroad Engineer Corps, taken in 1888. Returning to camp, well crowned, Oregon, 1880. Stacking alfalfa hay at the Stockdale Ranch, California, 1888. Montana Mine, 1889. Wells, Fargo and Coe's Express Office, Virginia City, Nevada, 1866. Hunting Camp of Captain Scott, Washita River Reservation, 1895. Gold dust. Placer mining at Rockerville, South Dakota, taken in 1889. Making pictures. Photographer at the Aquarius Plateau, Utah, 1875. The Old West in rare. Real pictures, gunslingers, cowboys, and saloons. Miners pose 850 feet underground in the Hubert M. Mine in Nevadaville, Colorado, in 1895, highlighting the difficult working conditions. A bustling street scene in Ouray, Colorado, in 1880, shows covered wagons in a canyon setting. The town, formerly known as Columbia, was renamed Ouray with the opening of a post office that year and later became a major gold mining district. A pioneer family poses in the Three Rivers area near Richardson, New Mexico, circa 1900, showcasing the harsh beauty of the Southwest landscape. A saloon scene in Virginia City, Nevada, in March 1898. Dead-Eye Dick, possibly the man with an eye patch, is shown among friends. A cowboy leads a wagon, carrying heavy equipment across the challenging terrain of the Matador Ranch in Texas in 1908. Jenny Bowe, in a black dress, stands on the balcony of her brothel in Jerome, Arizona, in 1898. This was the second building on this site, the first having burned down in 1897, and this one destroyed by fire in 1898. A third building still exists today. A Winter Ute warrior and his bride pose on horseback near the Green and Winter Rivers in northwestern Utah in 1874. Oglala Lakota Sioux, Chief Tashunka Whitco, Spotted Elk, stands in front of camp tents at Pine Ridge, South Dakota, on January 17, 1891, shortly after the Wounded Knee Massacre. A photograph from 1900 shows the entrance to a brothel in Creede, Colorado, with several people, including the ladies of the night, striking a posed scene outside. 5 Texas Rangers, armed and ready, are shown at the King Ranch in Texas in 1890. In 1898, a young Hopi maiden from Arbe, Arizona, proudly shows off her traditional hairstyle, adorned with beautiful silver jewelry made by skilled Navajo artisans. A large group of cowboys enjoys a meal at the Ox Ranch in what is now Childress County, Texas, in 1886. A rare 1875 photo shows General George Armstrong Custer standing in front of his tent, flanked by 3 Native American scouts during the Yellowstone expedition. Texas Ranger Joseph Walter Durbin poses with his horse in Rio Grande City, Texas, in November 1888. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid are shown at a bar in Utah in 1889. A street scene in the borax mining town of Columbus, Nevada, in the late 1800s shows bustling activity. In 1901, the people of Deadwood, South Dakota, come together to mark the town's 25th anniversary, a milestone for a community that thrived during the gold rush. A group of hunters displays their game in the Williams Fork River area of northwest Colorado. Routt County at the time became Moffett County in 1911, circa 1899. A wagon train advances through Harney County, Oregon, on the Overland Trail in 1870, illustrating the hardships faced by westward migrants. A wagon train of pioneers pauses for a photograph in the Wyoming Territory in 1875. People pose in front of the Cosmopolitan Hotel under construction in Tombstone, Arizona in 1880. Cowboys relax and drink in a saloon in Dallas, Texas in 1902. A view of downtown Elkhart, Texas in 1907, showing carriages, pedestrians, and commercial buildings. In 1890, a lively street scene in Santa Fe, New Mexico Territory, showcases bustling mercantile shops, serving both locals and travelers passing through. A Blackfeet woman with a cradleboard and a man with a travois are shown in Glacier National Park, Montana, between 1912 and 1915. Former Crow Scouts visit the site of the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1908. A street scene in Santa Fe, New Mexico in 1890, showing adobe buildings, wagons, and pedestrians. Around 1900, a portrait of a woman of the night in a brothel in Saltese, Montana, captures the mystery and resilience that defined these figures in the Old West. Texas Rangers under Captain Dan Roberts are shown camped near Fort Mavett in Menard County, Texas, in 1878. In 1880, people gather in front of the Mono County Bank in Bodie, California, at the height of the town's mining boom. A street scene in Rawhide, Nevada, in 1908, shows wagons and early automobiles amidst the gold and silver rush. Stagecoaches meet on the road between Tonopah and Sodaville, Nevada, circa 1903. Three women pose on a street in Marshall, Texas, in 1899. A somber reminder of the Circleville Massacre in Utah, where pioneers killed at least 30 Paiute people in 1866. A prostitute in lingerie plays billiards with a client in an Arizona brothel, early 1900s. Around 1890, people gather around the iconic Stonewall carriage in Trinidad, Colorado, preparing to set off on a journey along the region's rough, rugged roads. Two hunters pose with deer carcasses near a hunting cabin in the Old West, circa 1890. A settler family poses in front of their tent in the Three Rivers Range, New Mexico, in 1908. A mule team and covered wagon are shown on a street in Deadwood, South Dakota, in 1890. A Blackfoot woman and child are shown with a travois in Montana, 1896. A family poses on their farm near Devil's Lake, North Dakota, in 1900 with their livestock. Early miners pose in front of their cabins in Leadville, Colorado, during the Silver Rush of 1879. Cowboys tend cattle on a ranch in Modoc County, California, in 1890. A blacksmith is also shown. A man carves a cross to mark the grave of Lieutenant John Jordan Crittenden III at the Little Bighorn battlefield in 1876. Two women pose in front of Wyatt Earp's Northern Saloon in Tonopah, Nevada, in 1902. A group of Apache Indians pose in front of their huts in the American West in 1909. A wagon train crosses the Platte River in Nebraska on the Oregon Trail, circa 1870. A view of the main street of Kingston, New Mexico, in 1909. A Southern Pacific handcar on the Colorado River Bridge in Yuma, Arizona, in 1880. Captain George Kaiser Sanderson's camp at the Little Bighorn battlefield in Montana in 1879, where he oversaw the burial of soldiers killed 3 years prior. A Cheyenne man with his 2 wives, 2 daughters, and son pose in front of their tent in Montana in 1901. In 1873, a group of armed Coyotero Apache warriors stands proudly near Camp Apache, Arizona, ready for battle in the heart of their homeland. The Pondbrokers, Beware, and I Steel pose in front of their log cabin in Ironton, Colorado, in 1886. An early 1900s studio portrait shows a saloon woman from the Old West striking a playful pose as she rolls dice. The postcard's location remains unidentified. Around 1900, a Watkins medicine salesman visits a farm in North Dakota, offering tonics, elixirs, and other products. Bringing with him the promise of healing and new goods, he adds a sense of excitement and hope to the farmers' daily lives. Around 1895, passengers bustle on the busy train platform of the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad in Creede, Colorado, awaiting their next journey. James B. Jim Hawkins, founder of Company D of the Texas Rangers, poses with his weapons in 1875. President Theodore Roosevelt in a carriage during his visit to Wallace, Idaho in 1903. Locomotive 197 pulls a passenger train near Pitkin, Colorado in 1895. A street scene in Elkhart, Texas in 1916 shows wagons, pedestrians, and commercial activity. Four Adena warriors on horseback gaze toward a distant valley in Montana, circa 1908. A Paiute family poses in front of their cattail reed house near Fallon, Nevada, circa 1907. A pioneer family rests beside their covered wagon in the Three Rivers Range, New Mexico, in 1908. A family poses with hunting trophies in front of their home in Cloud County, Washington, in 1909. Delia Albert, a Tolowa woman, poses in a blend of traditional and Western attire in California, 1890. A street scene on Commerce Street in San Antonio, Texas, in 1892, shows street vendors and bustling activity. Major Pease's Ranch on the Yellowstone River in Montana, 1872. A wagon train camps in Otero Valley, Colorado, in 1890. An Old West prostitute prepares for work, circa 1900. A photo of Dominic John O'Malley, cowboy poet, 1896. Cowboys and horses at a water tank in Dodge City, Kansas, circa 1900. A street scene at Fireman's Block in Austin, Nevada, circa 1880. Five Apache Scouts pose at Fort Bayard, New Mexico, circa 1884. Ladies of the Night and a pianist in a Cheyenne, Wyoming brothel, late 19th century. The Mole Saloon in Ripon, Wisconsin, in 1894. A festive street scene in Helena, Montana, during an Independence Day parade in 1889. Patrons in a Wyoming saloon, circa 1880, aim guns at a man's feet to make him dance. A prostitute poses in a brothel in the Old West, circa 1880. Redwood logs are loaded onto a train in Eureka, California in 1909. A street scene in Elkhart, Texas in 1870, showing wooden buildings and activity. Blackfeet Indians on horseback in Glacier National Park, Montana, circa 1900. A pioneer family poses with their wagons along the Oregon Trail in the Rocky Mountain foothills, 1890. Coal miners pose in front of their cabin in the Colorado coal fields, circa 1900. A tintype of James Butler Hickok at age 21 in Lawrence, Kansas in 1858. In 1883, a Native American family poses with their carts in western North Dakota, capturing a moment of their daily life and connection to the land. Gordon Pony Lilly and his wife, May Lilly, pose in Wild West attire, circa 1890. An Old West prostitute poses in front of a Victorian backdrop in Colorado, circa 1900. The first commercial establishment in Goldfield, Nevada, in October 1908. Texas Rangers at Savage Ranch near Rialtos, Texas, circa 1888. Cowboys brand cattle on a Texas ranch, circa 1900. Cavalry soldiers at Fort Keogh, Montana, circa 1889. A man and boy deliver water using a donkey in Greaterville, Arizona, 1902. A Sioux War Council in California, 1891. A photograph taken outside Michigan Carbon Works in 1892 depicts a massive pile of bison skulls, a stark visual representation of the near extinction of the American bison due to overhunting. Butch Cassidy's life of crime, his association with the Wild Bunch Gang, and the mystery surrounding his death in South America. A photograph of Navajo people near Old Fort Defiance, New Mexico, in 1873, showcasing their farming and weaving skills. A description of the Dakota War of 1862, highlighting the violence and displacement it caused. Jesse James's life and death, focusing on his role in the James Younger Gang and his complex legacy. Photographs of the deceased William Brazen Bill Brazelton, a stagecoach robber, are shown. One photo shows him wearing the mask he used during robberies. The other shows his face. His belongings, including weapons and stolen goods, are also pictured. Billy the Kid's life, including his involvement in the Lincoln County War, his multiple jailbreaks, and his death at the hands of Sheriff Pat Garrett. The story of Rose Dunn, her relationship with George Newcomb, and her alleged role in his death. A celebratory scene on Main Street in Goldfield, Nevada in 1905. Miners on their lunch break in Butte, Montana in 1905. A train in Eureka, Nevada in 1890. Crow tribe members ride across the Little Bighorn River in Montana, 1906. Calamity Jane at Wild Bill Hickok's grave in Deadwood, 1890. People pose in front of the Vienna Laundry in Leadville, Colorado, late 19th century. The Tollgate Saloon in Black Hawk, Colorado, in 1897. A photograph of Chinese field hands working in California, 1898, highlighting their contributions to the state's economy, often overlooked in historical narratives. A photograph captures a massive sandstorm engulfing the small town of Midland, Texas, on February 20th, 1894, highlighting the power of nature and the vulnerability of the residents. Two figures are visible walking towards what appears to be shelter. This photograph of Olive Oat Man, who was abducted by Native Americans as a child, showcases the distinctive tattoos on her face. It underscores the harrowing brutality of her capture and offers a glimpse into the challenges of her later life. A description of the Apache spirit dance, its significance, and its enduring presence in Apache culture. The life and death of Big Nose George, and the bizarre handling of his body parts by Dr. John Eugene Osborne after his death. Belle Starr's life, highlighting her role as an outlaw and a woman who defied societal norms. Laura Bullion's mugshot from 1893, taken by Pinkerton detectives. Her criminal life and eventual attempts at a law-abiding life are summarized. A photograph of cowboys relaxing in a saloon in Old Tascosa, Texas, in 1907, emphasizing the saloon as a central location for social interaction and business dealings. A photograph of Jimmy McKin Santiago, a young boy kidnapped by the Apache who chose to stay with his captors after his rescue. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of the Wild West, be sure to check out other videos in this series. Don't forget to subscribe and share Who Remembers with someone who would love to learn more about this fascinating era. As always, thank you so much for watching, so much for watching, so much for watching, so much for